Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 48 of Scion of the Dark House, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Gothic horror podcast. Because it is Gothic horror, there may be some things that come up to a line for some people. This includes things like talk about abuse and trauma, body horror, violence, gore, child endangerment, and various other things. If there are things that come up to a line for you, please take a break. Your support means a lot to us, but so does your mental health. So last time on our lovely adventure, you guys did some exploration of the Red Castle. Finding the knights to be very aggressive, you used a clever tactic of using Arcane Eye to spot the entrance to the Harlequin's lair. After entering, you found that it was a twilight forest with some interesting teacup motifs and teapot motifs. You came across a village where some possessed goblins seemed to be killing each other. And after taking care of that, you finally found the carousel. It wasn't long after inspecting the carousel that you were attacked by the Harlequin themselves. Rerek, taking the brunt of the damage, managed to stay alive, and you killed it. After inspecting the carousel, a decision was made that only the Red Queen and the White Queen would be saved, and the Teacup Princess would be left in temporal stasis. Rerek boarded the carousel and took it for a ride in order to free the necessary people, and gained a vision from Jomungandr himself, one of the 8 golden dragons that attended Bahamut and was the master of divination, who gave him a vision of belladonna. But this vision was different. It implied a multitude of opportunities as he saw belladonna joining Tharizdun, destroying Tharizdun, pushing Tharizdun back into the void where he came from, and various other options. And after exiting the carousel, having successfully freed the Red Queen and the White Queen, he was gifted with a magical mirror. And this is where you all begin. Standing next to the carousel, having just freed the Red Queen and the White Queen, Rerek holding this magical mirror, and a battle having just concluded. So what would you all like to do?
Above game, how long has it been since we've eaten?
We ate this morning. We had my little sandwiches.
Yeah,
Oh,
because the
God, so
basket
it's been-
was still good from the Shadowfell.
Yeah.
So it's been like hours?
Maybe a
Yes.
few.
There's a whole tea party spread right over there.
Okay.
I did say it was moldy and dusty, though.
Okay, then in character, Arthur probably does some sort of whining about how it's been like almost 48 seconds since he's last had a meal.
Okay, and I like last session I kind of healed Rerek a little bit with my medicine kit, so like starting to put my bits and bobs away, take a look at Rerek's mirror, and we'll talk about that. Maybe after we rest a bit. All of you look like, well, we can take a bit of a breather before we move on.
Now, if we were to use the carousel, we could speed up our... We're in a subplane, a little subdomain right now, but the longer that we delay getting back home, the greater the chances that Gloriana may or may not have some of her people find us. But if we were to use the carousel, we could make our little rest go much faster for everyone else except... Do you get what I'm saying? We could speed up time for just us for a little while so we can get a decent quality of rest in a very short amount of time.
Right.
Do you think we could also use it to roast a chicken a bit faster?
Do you have a chicken?
Well, I can't be expected to come up with all the answers now, can I?
I don't have a chicken, but I've got some candied flowers still, if you'd like some of those.
Yeah, that'll
Well-
work. I mean, it's a snack for the carousel ride, at least.
If one of us has to ride the carousel to be doing that, I can do that. I'm still feeling okay.
Yeah, better you than me. Arthur just says, kind of like picking his teeth with a dagger, like expectantly, just waiting.
Now, and be a dear, Percy, and don't free the teacup princess.
Remind me why we're not doing that again. Like,
Because if she truly is a seely, blind Archfey, she could sniff out my true nature in a heartbeat, and all you'd have left of me is a pile of beautiful, gorgeous ashes on the ground.
all right. Okay.
She seems
yeah,
nice.
not- You know, given that I'm currently under contract from. Hang on.
You're also, yes.
No, I never did get her name above game specifically. But okay, yeah,
Oh.
so the queen.
Wait. No, you did. The Queen of
did?
Air and Darkness.
Yeah, no. Title. Yeah, I've gotten her name, the Queen of Air and Darkness, but I was trying to think of like if I had gotten a name.
Oh.
No.
No.
Okay, yeah. So given that I'm currently under contract to the Queen of Air and Darkness, I imagine that would probably be hazardous to my health as well.
I'll leave the little girl frozen in her time prison.
Splendid, darling. You love to hear it.
Yeah, and then there's the matter of a roast chicken.
We just ate. Why don't we get to the next realm before we eat?
Fine.
Right. I guess Percy will hop onto the carousel and speed up his friends so they can take a long rest in a short time period.
Above game in my head right now, Pony by Genuine is playing, like as he hops on. I don't know why.
Oh my
It's just
goodness.
the first thing that popped into my head. Yep. Okay, so
Well.
Percy's doing the magic Mike thing.
It's like, I'm just bobbing slowly up and down on a little.
Yeah, it takes a little more willpower than you expect it to kind of force the time to move in the way that it needs to. And as you ride the carousel around a couple of times, strangely, you feel as though you've been on the carousel for about 8 seconds, but also 8 hours at the same time. It's very strange. It's very odd. But slowly the carousel slows down enough for you to get off of it. Your butt a little sore from sitting on an awkward wooden horse that bobbed up and down the whole time, but you all have effectively gotten a long rest.
Cheers.
Nice, awesome. After the fact, Lark's going to be like, oh, well, it's good that you managed to stop it in time. I just thought about the fact that other than Arthur, the rest of you are very short lifespan, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I've got about 100 years on this one.
I mean, it would have been a little funny if you aged into a decrepit old man on there, Percy. But you didn't.
I thought if I was on it, I don't have the time. Isn't that what happens?
Well, darling,
I don't know.
you're mortal. I don't know how the rules work for you.
Okay. Well, if we're all feeling better, guess we can crack on and hope the Queen's opened up the borders.
And conveniently, we're right by the edge of the Red Castle, so off to above game. What did the queen give me the name of the hags that we're gonna pass into their domain?
Yes. You got the names Rosina Leckermall, Karabos, and Mother Gothel.
Mother Gothel,
Yummy.
Erebos. Cool. I know some of those names
Mhm.
as a
So-
person, not as a. But can Lark history check?
Yes.
Okay.
The DC is going to be significantly lower because they are unseelie fae, so you would
Excuse
probably
me.
know them.
Okay. Bless you.
So
Uh-oh.
above game, we're passing through their realm on our way to what now again?
The Garden of Regrets, which
Yeah,
is
we're
right
Garden of
next
Regrets.
to
Yes, we're going to see Granther.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I got a 6 on a history check because my D28.
Oof.
Wow.
Well, you've heard of them. They are pretty famous. There are some pretty famous hag domains that, not hag domains, hag covens that they've been around for so long that the hags themselves are, they practically don't need covens, but they stick together from tradition. They are one of the most powerful covens under, of course, the individuals of Baba Yaga and the Witch Queen. They are also the witches that mortals seem to base fairy tales off of, as opposed to other groups of hags that rule over similar things like the sea or certain mountains or things like that. These are the ones that seem to be told and talked about.
Okay. So,
But other than that, you don't really know anything about them.
Okay. So Lark's just gonna be like, well, we should probably prepare ourselves before we go over there a little bit. They're a bit of an eccentric lot compared to other hags. They're the basis for your mortal fairy tales about all those witches and stuff. So whatever you may or may not have heard as children may or may not apply there.
Fabulous.
That's remarkably vague.
I don't what constitutes a fairy tale for you lot?
Well, you with your little wings and fluttering. Let's just go. We should just go.
Let's just put it this way. If Drindhall was trading in on stereotypes of a fairy godmother, those three trade in on every stereotype you could probably think of what a witch would be like.
Wonderful. Can't wait to meet them.
So they may or may not have a house made of food, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't eat it if I were you, but most likely.
Fair point.
So you all begin to make your way back slowly through the forest, looking at all the lovely teacup flowers, passing through the teapot village, still completely and utterly splattered with blood. The goblins seem to have cleaned up most of the body parts at this point. There are no corpses per se on the streets of this tiny little town, but there is still a lot of blood, and you do see the eyes of these people, which you assume might have once been joyous under the rulership of the teacup princess, are now hollow and traumatized as they walk slowly around, cleaning the blood off of their windows and off of the walls, just existing at this point. And you soon pass out of the realm, whatever realm this may be, back into the hedge maze next to the hole that Lark had conveniently assisted in creating in the side of the Red Castle.
Shimmy back out, and which way should we go, Lark?
Well, one can assume that we just keep traveling past the castle until we hit the border.
All right.
Okay, so we just keep walking? Or floating, as it were. Okay. Pressing on.
So you all begin to walk through the unkemptness of the red side of this chess land, the hedges leaning awkwardly, thorns and vines growing around the marble statues and the fountains. And you soon get to a place where there start to be more trees. The trees grow thicker, the grass changes color, the squares are not so prominent, they begin to shrink and twist, almost like an elaborate mosaic before finally vanishing altogether. You pass through the trees, which almost seem to form a round sort of corridor as you walk down it. You begin to hear birds again, twittering and tweeting away. You hear the rustle of animals once again, and the temperature changes. It becomes a little warmer, more of a sort of temperate forest. And you see, surprisingly, the light of day. It is getting close to evening. The sun is very quickly setting, but the light is still beautiful and golden. As you continue walking, you hear suddenly childlike giggling, and then the rustling of leaves as a very large gingerbread cookie seems to pop out of nowhere and drop right in front of you.
Food! Yay! Can I eat it?
In Sylvan, Lark's gonna like hold a hand and be in Sylvan, just be like, "Hello."
You just hear another childlike giggle farther away this time, but no other response.
So the cookie has clearly navigated itself here on its own two legs.
Possibly.
And it sounds like there's more in the distance. Because this one didn't giggle that time, right? We heard a giggle from somewhere else.
Oh, it didn't seem to be the cookie that was giggling. The cookie seems to be just a cookie.
Oh, is it moving?
Nope.
Okay, I'm eating it. I'm sorry, I'm starving. Okay, I'm at the very least going to pick it up. Picking up the cookie.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be, just seems to be a regular old gingerbread cookie.
Can I try to see what's dropping cookies?
Sure, you can make me a perception check.
I'm gonna switch D20 so that hopefully it's not a shit roll this time. We're gonna be doing our gay one.
Ooh.
Extra power.
You know what? I'll roll perception as well, just for shits and gigs, which no, I won't. Never mind.
So my perception check is going to be a 19. Because I
strangely
got a +3.
You don't see anything. You don't hear any moving of anything that would be throwing cookies. You don't see any little figures darting around. It just appeared out of nowhere.
Does anybody have detect magic?
Rerek does.
I think Rerek.
Can we
So yeah.
Jaeger detect magic on this cookie?
Yeah. I think at this point, because of how little time you guys have had, or at least believe you have, Rerek is going to blow a first level spell slot to detect magic. So he doesn't have to do it as a ritual. And he just kind of frowns. No, just a little bit of evocation magic.
Okay. I'm cool with that. And the fates provide. I'm eating the cookie.
What have we learned
is-
about eating the foods in other realms? I feel like we've been over this several times.
Rerek said it was fine.
You take a bite out of this gingerbread cookie, and it is amazing. It is the best tasting gingerbread cookie you have ever had. It is somehow, it has just enough crunch, but it's also one of those soft gingerbread cookies that's still warm, as if it was just cooling on the oven rack. It is absolutely and utterly divine. It is what you would believe the perfect gingerbread cookie to be. And at that point, you hear another giggle, and probably about 10 feet away, another of the leaves, as you see another one has just landed.
Cookie. All right, now I'm not gonna lie, this is getting a little suspicious, but the cookie's freaking delicious. So
Lark, what are the odds that something is trying to kill us right now?
Well, I mean, he's going to look Arthur up and down and be like, he's not dead, so maybe not actively kill, but it's a rather...
3 for 3 on eating food from other realms, bitches.
I'm just going to like float over closer to Percy and whisper and be like, I feel like it's a little bit of a honey trap, as you might say. They're a lure of sorts.
That's what I
no.
was thinking.
Like fish on a line.
It's definitely not honey. They definitely use real molasses, and they're still warm.
Don't forget to thank who's ever giving them to you, Arthur.
Oh,
It's the
yeah.
least you can do.
Thank you. Nom 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 nom.
But yeah, back to Percy. Lark's just leaning and be like, it's probably a trap.
I think it's probably a trap.
You guys are so negative.
As Arthur presumably approaches the second cookie,
Oh yeah.
you do hear
100%.
another giggle, and 10 feet away, another cookie lands on the ground.
Okay, so picking up the second cookie, stuffing it in my face.
It is almost
Good.
exactly the same. It is almost identical. The most divine, perfect gingerbread cookie, just cool enough, fresh out of the oven.
Okay, now even I have to admit, he says a round mouthful of cookie. This is a little weird. But I mean, are you sure you guys don't want one? Like, they're really good.
Good. I'm good.
No? Okay. All right. Well, I was planning on foraging anyway. So, like, I mean, this kind of works out. I'm going to approach the third cookie. I mean, because Arthur's not that smart. So,
Yeah, you approach it, pick it up. It's the same cookie. And another lands. But this time, another 10 feet away, another one lands.
So, I mean, are you guys just going to keep letting me follow these cookies, or?
Is this still the way we need to go, Lark?
It'll lead us to something, and if Arthur wants to go first, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Chomp away, I guess, and I'll like ready myself to attack if something like jumps down or something.
Suit yourself. Only, okay, so this time I'm going to stow my bow. I'm going to take out I haven't given it a name yet, but that vampiric short sword.
Oh, yeah.
And use it to stake the cookies up off the ground. Put them in my face.
They don't seem to react to being stabbed. You just stab them and keep on going.
Yep.
At this point, you notice the air definitely smells different. At first, you thought it was just because you were shoving gingerbread cookies into your mouth, but no, there is now a pervasive, fresh from the oven batch of gingerbread cookie smell that is beginning to pervade the air. And as you've walked forward that about 20 feet, you look, and in the distance, you see there are gingerbread cookies hanging from trees with twine. Just tons of them.
Does that seem weird to you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, you mortals have questionable home decor, so I don't think it's that odd, given the information we have.
Okay, so Arthur's gonna like shout into the open air something like, "You got a roast chicken lying about here anywhere?"
You just hear a distant childlike giggle, nothing
And
more.
that's it.
Mhm.
Huh. Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil my appetite with cookies, but yeah, I'm gonna ignore the ones that are hanging in the trees because, like, I don't know. Even to me, that seems a little weird. Perception check?
Sure. Are you getting closer to them?
Yeah, we'll get closer to them. Actually, let's make it Jasmine's keen smell.
All right. Roll with advantage. And if anyone else would like to make any kind of check, they may.
Percy's gonna cast his new favorite spell, Protection from Good and Evil.
Yeah.
I'm also gonna perceive with my fairy eyes.
God, Jasmine got a 14.
Lark got a dirty 20.
Hot.
Okay. Jasmine sniffs the air and she relays to you that she doesn't just smell gingerbread anymore. There's chocolate chip cookies, there's cupcakes, there's sugary sweets that have very pungent smells. There's a lot more around here now.
Okay. So I guess I'll let the guys know. There's like a whole bakery waiting up here ahead of us. Jasmine can smell all kinds of baked goods. Which, I mean, if they're anything nearly as delightful as these gingerbread cookies, then like I'm excited. Nothing on Lark's dirty 20?
You kind of get the same thing. There isn't much around here, it seems. Just
Okay.
the forest and gingerbread cookies.
And I guess we'll like gaily forward past the dangling cookies.
Yeah, you guys begin to walk forward. And it isn't long as you guys are looking around at all of these gingerbread cookies hanging. From behind you, since I'm going to assume that Rerek is kind of taking up the rear at this point,
Sure.
You hear sort of a crunch and a, oh, ew. And you turn to see that he's stepped in a cupcake and candy canes. And you spot a small cluster of bizarre looking flowers. The first group, of which he stepped on a small portion of, seems to be these beautiful frosted looking leaves, where out of the center are growing a bunch of candy canes. And another that he stepped on was a cluster of about 3 plants that seemed to grow into perfectly iced cupcakes. And he stepped on them. And as you all begin to look around, you begin to see more plant life like this. Cupcakes, candy canes. You look up into one of the trees and you see one of the trees is growing gumdrops.
And still no roast chicken. Okay, I guess just keep walking.
I think a forest to brew roast chicken would be much less whimsical than one that grows candies and sweets.
Well, I mean, whimsy doesn't exactly sate my hunger, so.
You continue.
I mean, is there a tree around here that grows whiskey? Like, that'd be great.
Doesn't seem to be.
Disappointing.
You begin to continue walking. Wow, begin to continue walking. Okay.
Yep.
You continue walking down this sort of path. And soon the forest almost completely changes. There are more candy flowers and trees that are growing various little candies and more gingerbread cookies and just more cookies just laying in the bushes until you finally get to a huge clearing. In the center of this clearing is a house. It is a gingerbread house.
Called it.
It's not so much a house as a mansion. It has 3 stories. It has gables and eaves and all kinds of various things. The roof is frosted with icing and covered with candies. And so are the windows made with frosted glass. It is decorated to the nines. And surrounding it is a beautiful garden that grows cupcakes and gumdrops and other sorts of sweets out of the flowers. And the gardens are lined with candy cane fences and all kinds of other beautiful sweets. And it's definitely this place that this smell is coming from.
Would
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so like Lark grew up in a magical fairy garden that's probably a lot less whimsical than this. Would I have any idea about what any of these plants are like, or no?
You know what? I'd say yeah, you would. They're literally just candy plants.
And I'm assuming nobody back home grew candy plants.
Nope.
Yeah, Lark's just gonna be like, so many candy plants all over the place.
Can I have Arthur and Jazz like check around the back side of the house, just see what's out there?
Sure. If you could make a stealth check.
Yeah, sure. Why am I rolling so shit today? Okay, Arthur got an 18. And what does Jazz have? Here she gets. And Jazz got a 15.
As you make it around the back of the house, all of the sides of the house are beautifully decorated. But you see, because of the sunset, the other side of the house is more brightly lit. And you see this hag in black with a large brimmed hat, green hook nose, warts and all, with a giant icing bag, redecorating the sides of her house, growling and swearing as some of the icicles you see have started to melt off of the roof, and she is quickly putting them back on, angrily snarling the whole way. But she doesn't seem to notice you.
Okay, so can I just back the way I came? Do you want another self check for that?
No, I'm going to say this one covers it. I'm going to say you just kind of rounded the corner and then stayed there for a second and then comically backed up around the house. So it wasn't really much of anything to notice. Yeah, and you make your way back to the group.
Okay, so I'll let the guys know. Hag refrosting the side of the house, 12 o'clock. Just heads up. I didn't bother asking her if she had any chicken because at this point I'm assuming it's only baked goods, but I thought you guys might want to know.
Lark, is this the kind of thing where it would be rude for us to pass through their realm and not say hello? Or can we just tiptoe on by?
Well, we could try to tiptoe on by, but this could also afford us the opportunity to get on a hag's good side, or as good of a side as you can get with one. If we offer to help repair her house a little bit, could be beneficial. She could also answer why it's so bright here. It's dreadfully sunny for what you would assume a hag domain would be like.
That sounds scary. Talking to her sounds like a scary thing to do.
We've talked to multiple hags before,
And
darling.
it's always gone so well.
He does have a point. I mean, I'm happy to let you do the talking.
Yeah, if you want to establish a relationship with the gingerbread hag, you can take point on that.
She's just right around back.
I'm point above game. Well, not even above game. The queen mentioned that unseelie fae haven't been able to pass out of this realm for a little while.
There has been trouble with travel through this realm.
Yeah. So even if we got to the border of this realm to get into the next one, I might not be able to pass through necessarily without digging a little bit. And yet again, a hag in need is... I finished the parable for me? I don't know.
A friend indeed. Is that how it goes?
Oh,
I don't think that's how it goes.
I would never count a hag as a friend, darling.
Okay, well, go make an acquaintance.
Well, the rest of you need to come with me. It would be rude to just sit back here.
Fine. Well, cupcake for the journey then. Yoink.
So I guess I'll lead the group around back and is there a way that I could like mage hand to catch one of the icicles before it falls and try to like stick it back up in the thing?
Yeah, you can.
So when we round the corner, I'm just gonna in Sylvan shout out, what would be a respectful title to call a hag? Would I know a respectful title to call a hag in?
Auntie is probably
Auntie?
fine. Hags are good at manipulations, and so a lot of times they don't mind whatever titles mortals might give them if it means that they get more power over them.
Mm.
So auntie is probably fine, is probably the word that you would have used in the Feywild to refer to them.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll mage hand to catch one as it falls and be like, "Hail, auntie. You seem to be having a little bit of trouble here."
She kind of turns, lowering her icing bag. Ah, yes, I am having quite a bit of trouble here. My icing keeps melting.
And why exactly is that?
Well, I'm fairly sure it has to do with a recent visitor to the realm.
Is there any shot that you could tell us a little bit more? I'm called Lark. What can we call you, auntie?
Well, I'm surprised that you haven't heard of me then. I am the witch Rosina Leckermall.
The Rosina Liquor Bomb. Apologies. I'm from... I suppose right now, where I'm from would be your next door neighbor, wouldn't it?
Yes, I could smell it all over you, that garden. Well,
You have
No
quite a
matter.
beautiful garden yourself.
yes, no matter, we are on the same side. It seems we've had a bit of a visitor as of late. One of the dreadful animal Archfey. I'm sure you might have heard of one of them at least. Chanticleer the Rooster has made an unfortunate visit.
Well, surely you and your sisters have the power to oust such a lowly being as a rooster archfey, auntie.
You would be surprised. It seems he has a bit of a dampening effect on powers while he's in a realm, which is quite annoying. You see, our power comes from the darkness that our realm was once shadowed in. Unfortunately, Chanticleer has the power to make the sun come up no matter what realm he's in, and he has a nasty habit of singing all the damn time. So, not only have we significantly diminished in power because our darkness is gone, but the village that he's taken up residence in seems to be joyful. And so that causes issues when we come around, we get chased out. Given our diminished powers, there's not much we can do. So I'm practically stuck here re-icing my house every couple of hours to keep all of the icing from sliding off.
Oh, may the queen preserve us, such a nasty predicament. And what of your sisters? Are they in similar scenarios, or are they trying to hunt down the nasty little bird themselves?
Well, Karabos is too busy with her little plots in the mortal realm, and Mother Gothel is too interested in her own little treasures she has up in her tower. They haven't done much.
Now, would Chanticleer happen to be the reason why the queen mentioned that we haven't been able to travel to and from your realm very easily of late, or at all, I suppose?
Yes. We assume so.
Also, has this whole conversation been in Sylvan?
Yeah.
Percy's just like, ooh.
Oh, Auntie, apologies. These mortals don't speak our tongue, so I might have to translate for them very quickly. Or I suppose, Common is just such a lowly language for us to speak, you know?
Yes.
You figure before they came to the Feywild, they could at least bother with learning a little bit of our tongue, but no. This one knows a spell or two that lets him talk for an hour, and he thinks it's enough. I had to talk to teacup goblins.
Ugh.
Oh, speaking of which, in case you haven't heard, the teacup princess is currently trapped in stasis, so her domain's up for grabs.
Oh, how convenient. Sadly, there's not much I can do at the moment.
I already did tell Granther, though, but he's putting feelers out for anybody who wants to go lay claim to it.
Who?
My grandfather, the tender of the Garden of Regrets.
Oh. I didn't know it had a tender.
Yeah, he's not exactly the most well-known, but there is at least someone who keeps it going. Can't do without having poison butterflies all over the place, you know.
Well.
Oh, so in common, I'm going to relate to everybody. So, boys.
Yes.
One of the animal Sealy Archfey has taken up residence in a town in this domain, and he's the cause of all the problems.
Oh.
Okay.
He's brought day and joy and happiness to the people, and
That
Well, that
sounds
just
terrible.
Awful.
it is awful. At least for above game. Which one? Auntie. I need to write her name down. I'm sorry.
The one you're talking to?
Yeah, which one's the one I'm
Rosina
talking
Liquor
to?
Bomb.
Rosina Liquor Bomb.
Liquor Mall.
Liquor Mall.
Okay. So yeah, so Lark will be like, Auntie Liquor Mall here has to spend all day keeping her house together practically. We're in unseelie ground. This much daylight is, I mean, admittedly, the garden back home is cast in perpetual twilight with a bit of light here and there, but this is like morning sun. How disgusting. Constant morning sun.
And we can do what about that exactly?
Well, if you can manage to get the rooster to fuck off out of our realm, it'll be easier to pass in and out.
Wait, it's a chicken?
It is.
Well, a rooster.
Eight's the same.
Mm.
Now, I don't suppose, Auntie, forgive me. I've been out of the loop, you know, errands in the mortal realm for the queen, usual for my lot. I don't suppose the Chanticleer has ties to any of the other Seelie animal Archfey. There's this nasty little servant of the bear Archfey who I heard talking to another Archfey. It happens. They're it's too many to count and keep track of with all the intrigues, but
well, he's not connected to the Bear King. The closest relative that we can... There's quite a few of them. There's a donkey. I forget his name. All I remember is that he shits gold. There's a monkey who owns a
above game real
scriptorium.
quick. Are we back in Sylvan, or is she still speaking common?
She's still speaking in common. There's a monkey who owns a library in one of the elvish cities. The only one who he's directly fraternizing with is a cat, Tybalt, the cat lord. Although he has a foot in both courts, so he's been helping out where he can, but, well.
Never trust a cat.
Yes, they're quite slippery, especially Tybalt. He has the ability to slip between realms even when they're closed, which is a handy little trick.
At that last comment, Jasmine just kind of...
So, Auntie, I don't suppose what you're telling me is that if we want to be able to pass through the realm, we're going to have to go ask Chanticleer to kindly vacate the premises of your domain, correct?
Well, it would be preferred. It won't necessarily... Well, you've entered the realm, so it doesn't necessarily impede your travel, but it impedes some more powerful Archfey's travels, and it significantly dampens our powers.
I don't suppose that if we did this for you, we could consider ourselves friends of a sort? I'd love to have someone to gossip to at the Waltz of Shadows. I assume you'll be there.
Ah, yes, of course. You've gotten an invitation.
Oh, the Queen invited me. Isn't it splendid?
Interesting. She must have a plan of some kind.
I mean, darling, she's the Queen of Air and Darkness. She has plans older and longer than either one of us, probably.
Very true. Well, how about this? If you successfully force Chanticleer via death, harm, or polite asking to vacate our realm, the three of us will at least accompany you on your travel to the Waltz of Shadows, make sure nothing happens.
Now that sounds like a deal I can get behind.
I mean, Lark's just going to be like, they're one of the oldest, most powerful hag covens in the Feywild, so this is a very, very solid offer, boys. What do you say?
And all we have to do is convince an Archfey to do something he doesn't want to do. How lovely.
I mean, he's just an animal Archfey. How dangerous can he be?
Well, the danger is not necessarily in his fighting skills, more in, well, there's not much that I can do at the moment, magic-wise.
Though one has to wonder why he would just randomly show up in your domain to weaken you and your sisters. What are the Seelie bastards up to now?
I'm sure there's up to all kinds of things.
That's fair. Gotta love it, don't you?
Unfortunate.
So
Well.
how do we go about finding this Rooster person?
Well, he's taken up residence of a sort in the little village at the center of our realm known as Briarsburg. He's taken up residence there. Make your way there, tell him to fuck off, or, I don't know, stab him in the eye or something. And you can just go on your way.
Okay. So how do we get to Briarsburg from,
Oh, it's just that way. And she just points off into the woods. Just keep heading that way. You'll find it. It's not that hard to miss.
Okay. Fair enough. You don't happen to have a roast chicken lying around anywhere, do you? You know what? Never mind. It's fine.
I mean, if things with Chanticleer go in one direction, you can have a roast chicken very soon, Arthur.
If
And
Rerek has anything to say about it, at least.
I mean, assuming he doesn't reconstitute himself or fade away, I wonder what the flesh of a Seelie Archfey tastes like.
Good question.
Have you ever had the taste, Auntie?
No. Only mortal children.
As you do.
Okay. And I'm leaving now.
We will thank you for your time, and Queen watch over you as you repair your house, and we'll go try to get this sorted for you, because really it's a travesty what one little chicken's doing to your place.
Yes. Well, of course, Queen watch over you as well. I need to refill my icing bag. And she shoulders the back door open with a loud sort of bang as she goes into the house, and the door ka-chunk, shuts on its own.
My Lantha.
So we're going to kill a chicken?
We're going to go try to kill a chicken, or at least convince him to leave. But preferably, Arthur's hungry.
Something
And
tells me he won't be very persuadable. I don't think most of your kind are.
well, I mean, if you know how to talk the right way. We didn't just wind up getting baked into pies, did we?
Well, because she's like your friend, and we're with you.
Well,
Isn't that how that works?
friends is a very relative term. We're just in luck that she's... I assume we're like moving as we talk.
Yeah.
But it's just gonna be like, we happen to be in luck that she's in need of some aid and currently preoccupied, and her sisters aren't helping her out either. So we get to be the errand boys, but on the flip side, she's guaranteed us the aid of her and her sisters when the time comes, which, yet again, is a very powerful offer.
All right. I guess it would be helpful to have some clout to throw around at the Waltz of Shadows.
Friends in high or low places, depending on how you think about it, darling.
Right. So let's find out what this chicken man is doing where he doesn't belong.
Yes, he's apparently disrupting the entire ecosystem of a Feywild domain.
As you continue walking, you notice the sun is actually setting. The stars have begun to come out, darkness has begun to fall, and soon the sun dips under the horizon. As you come out on the edge of the forest, you see a long road that heads to presumably Briarsburg, a town or hamlet of some kind nestled directly in the center of this valley, as it turns out to be. You do see a little bit off to your right a hill on which there is a castle. The castle has a cliffside on one underneath of it, and it is entirely surrounded by thorns and vines. And off in the distance, just poking up over the trees, is an ornate-looking tower, a little bit forward. But in the center, there is this sort of hamlet. And as you're walking down the hill towards this place and the sun sets below, there's a moment of silence before you hear the crow of a rooster. But this crow is pure and melodious, and it seems to transform as it goes on into a beautiful symphony, like almost literally a symphony. Strings, various violins and cellos, trumpets, flutes, all kinds of things as the sun rises significantly faster, rises, and the sun sheds its light over the valley. You almost see a perfect line of the dark being blasted away. And then at about what looks like the sun should be about maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, it fades away and the sun slows to a crawl. And it is now daytime.
Okay, that was weird.
Well,
Are musical sunrises common here, or?
I wager they weren't common in this realm until recently. That's particularly repulsive, though.
Could we tell like what direction that rooster sound was coming from?
It was coming from the village.
Just in the village. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's where we're headed.
Yeah. Let's go.
As you make it to the village, there is definitely a lot of people bustling around. Lots of various different humanoids, elves, dwarves, gnomes, even a few goblins. You notice as you look at them, they're all changed in some way. Some of them have feathers or flowers instead of hair. Some of them have rabbit ears or cat ears or whiskers. Some of them have horse hooves. Some of them, their skin is green or pink or purple or something of that nature. They still appear human, but it seems that these people have changed. And they are celebrating. They are cheering and clapping and dancing. And as you walk through the streets, you see directly in the center a large stone square with a fountain in the center, and strutting around it is a rooster. It's about maybe 5'6" to 5'8". It's a very large rooster, wearing a beautiful vest, a beautiful green vest. Its feathers almost look like they're made out of copper. Its comb and its wattle are the reddest red that you could imagine. The tail feathers are this beautiful emerald green, and he is strutting around this fountain as people cheer and clap.
Well,
Lark, what's the move?
If only we could recreate what... Lark's gonna just look over at Rerek and be like, if only we could recreate what you did to those mushroom people, darling.
Okay,
we're in a
maybe not that.
nest of turncoats.
No fire, please.
well, it seems like they all like him. So I'm guessing if we just attack him, it won't go very well for us.
Depends on how many villagers you feel like killing today.
So if they want to be in the sunlight, why don't they just leave and go to where there is sunlight?
I'm just wondering what Lark would say or think about in terms of that, because part of him is just like, okay, I get it. You have sunlight, you're happy, whatever. But if you were that miserable, so yeah, actually in character, he's gonna be like, if they were honestly that miserable living here in the first place, they should have found their way out sooner.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, what's the plan? You're a very cocky looking rooster in a town full of people that love him.
Mm-hmm. So are we taking like the diplomacy route here, or should I just like, I don't know, shoot him in the eye?
Do I need to make an insight check to like look at him and know that he's just like an absolute cocky asshole?
I think you can pretty much assume that he is just
by
by the way he's like
around.
strutting around and everyone's cheering for him. Yeah, that kind of goes to your head a little bit.
Something tells me just asking him nicely to leave won't accomplish much.
True,
Okay,
but
well, those
I
were our
want-
options. So
I want to ask him why he wound up here. And I mean, if he's as confident as he looks, he might be easy enough to trick into letting a few secrets spill before Arthur gets a piece of roast chicken out of him.
We could flatter him, lead him somewhere where
Oh,
the
yes.
villagers won't see.
Darling, you're speaking my language. This is like you know how you mortal children learn your letters and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Yes, back in the garden, some of the first lessons you learn are how to trick people into doing what you want.
Well, I suppose now is a good time to see a master at work.
I don't know
my
if I
thoughts
say-
exactly.
I'm not exactly a perfect master, darling. That you'd have to ask one of my Sib. Well, I suppose when it came to that sort of thing, I was the best out of us. So let's
So
Yeah,
give it a
now's
little
no
thought.
time for humility.
We should find a location to lure him then.
With what?
I mean, maybe we can just appeal to his ego and say we are baking him a pie or something.
I
Filled with
mean,
what? Giant crickets?
Maybe. That could be a thing here.
I don't even want to contemplate that.
well, given the proximity of Auntie Liquor Mall, I don't know if pie would be the best thing to bribe him with.
Okay. Well, can I roll like a perception check to find like if there's like an alley where there's less people or like an empty looking shed or something?
Sure.
Are we hard set on just killing this guy?
Well, we can try to talk. Lark, do your best to resolve this peacefully.
Since when did you get
just-
okay with just killing people?
It's been a rough week, okay? I have a 24 for perception.
Hmm.
Oh my.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of alleyways per se. It's kind of a little bit of a village setup where all the houses are detached and kind of scattered around, and there are lots of people here. It's kind of hard to spot a perfect alleyway where no one's going to get a clear shot or see in or anything like that. There's not a lot of between building privacy.
Maybe we could ask him to take us to his house?
Hmm.
I mean, I could just try to seduce him.
No words. I have no words.
I don't know what he could be into,
Uh-huh.
unless
Oh.
he's into having an audience, which that
Maybe
reminds
we
me.
just compliment him and say, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Your home must be even more beautiful. Why don't you show us?"
Okay. I've grown impatient. Arthur's gonna fire his bow so
Oh my
that the
God.
arrow just lands near the rooster man's feet.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I'm not gonna
pull
shoot him in the
back your
face, just-
bow and phew, fire. The bolt of flame arcs to the air, splashing onto the stone below, and he pauses and kind of whips his head around and looks.
Hey, your
a
turn,
little
Lark.
bit confused.
Lark's gonna raise into the air and be like, and that was the first trick shot from expert archer Arthur. Anyone
Like,
throw
take a
something
bow.
in the air, he can
Having,
shoot
like,
it out of the
golf
air as well.
claps.
You just shot the ground.
People definitely look a bit confused.
Yeah. I'll thaumaturgy some more clapping sounds to make it louder.
We come, so out loud, Lark's gonna be like, now Arthur here has studied performances from circuses across the realms, including a very exclusive circus in the Shadowfell recently. Now, Arthur, would you please
Ever.
give these people a show of your infamous archery skills?
You know what? Yes, I absolutely can. Are there any fruit trees nearby?
Not in the middle of the town square, but there are definitely people selling things like apples and pears and oranges and things like that.
Cool. Okay, so here's what I'm aiming to do. I'm gonna try to fire my bow mid back handspring and hit one piece of each type of fruit on one of those carts.
Okay. So roll me an acrobatics check.
Mm-hmm. You got it. Dirty 20.
Woo! So that was just for the spring. Now you have to make the shot.
Yep.
Just
Okay.
make an attack roll.
Okay. Where is my, I think that's a plus 10. 14?
Mid handspring, you pull back the bow and you fire. It's a bit odd to be in motion when you're firing. You've done it before, but not upside down. The flaming arrow sails through the air. It hits an apple that somebody was holding, carrying it out of their hands, falling down towards the counter where it hits the pear, ricochets off of the counter, and comes just short of the orange.
Missed it by that much.
Yep.
Thaumaturgy applause.
Now, you'll all just have to excuse Arthur. He's still practicing. He's not exactly a circus performer by trade, but
Rude.
useful skills to pick up when you're traveling between realms. As Lark talks, he's just gonna kind of like float over towards the Rooster.
Who has kind of turned and given you your full attention. He has taken a couple of steps forward.
But yeah, I'm just gonna be like, Arthur, keep doing a few trick shots while we have a little conversation, please, darling.
Oh dear God. Okay. Let's think here. What do I want to do? Can I don't know. Let's try to have Jasmine do some kind of back flippy cat thing and catch an arrow in her mouth.
Okay.
Oh, Percy, join in on the fun.
No.
Rerek, do something as come on, these people, they the glorious light of day. Arthur's
They
doing
paid for a show.
But at least, Percy, at least come over here with me and we can have a little conversation.
Right. Hello. I'll say to the Rooster.
Oh, hello there. More performers. Wonderful. I love performances.
Right. Yes, we heard your beautiful song just now.
Oh, yes. It is my favorite song to sing, and it's a hit with the crowds.
No,
Mm-hmm.
I've never basked in the presence of such a beautifully plumed fae as yourself. I'm just gonna motion the feathers and be like, resplendent in the light, darling. Wonderfully lovely.
Yes, I do like to keep my feathers quite clean. And he kind of shimmies them a little bit.
Now,
This guy's awesome.
No offense, darling, but I'm a little confused.
How so?
Now, I heard a particularly juicy rumor, one might say, that I thought this was the domain of a hag coven.
Is it?
I thought it was. But yet you're
I'm
here.
pretty sure when we crossed over from the last realm, they said the one we were heading into was an unseelie coven. I'd also heard of that.
Oh, well, that would explain a few things.
Oh, yes. Please do explain, darling.
Well, I'm a wandering performer. I go from place to place and I find those who need a little pick-me-up, a little performance, and I perform for them. I found this village wandering around and, well, they seemed all sad. And so I sang and made the sun come up and they seemed to like it so much. They begged me to stay. How exciting. And so I stayed and made the sun come up.
How long have you been staying here, darling?
Oh, probably only a week.
A week in Fey time or a week in, like, mortal time?
Oh, whichever.
Gotta love it. No, I don't suppose you were sent here by anyone in particular, or was it just your own whim that brought you here?
Oh, it is always my own whim. I believe that my performer's heart will take me where I need to go to find the audience that'll appreciate me most.
So in the back of his head, Lark's like, oh God, this dude may not have even realized that I'm unseelie as it is if he can't sniff it out or has commented on it yet, and B, manipulate, like, Lark's got an idea, and he's gonna be like, now, darling, as much as these people have enjoyed your performance, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that, and Percy can back me up here, we just ran into the saddest group of little teacup goblins who could use some light and
sad.
joy in their lives. There was a massacre.
A terrible tragedy happened at their village just recently.
A terrible
Oh,
tragedy.
no.
Do you know the teacup princess?
I've certainly heard of her.
So she has a small little domain right off of the Chesslands, right next door practically. And apparently that nasty number, the Harlequin, he trapped her in her own device and had her little goblin minions slaughter each other for his own amusement.
Oh, no. Oh, that's
Now,
terrible.
Darling, I can only say that I believe you'd be doing them a favor of sorts if you went over and performed for them.
Mm-hmm. We just passed through and they just looked devastated and in dire need of a good cheering up.
Oh, it sounds like it. Well, I will have to say my goodbyes, and then I will head out immediately to the realm of the teacup princess, my performer's heart. It guides me there.
So noble. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Yes.
It sure is something.
Well, I will busy myself in saying goodbye to these folks, and then I will find my way there. I just know I'm needed.
Yes,
A round of applause. A round thaumaturgy applause.
I'm not, darling. I can only say that I wouldn't recommend coming back here because you never really want to get a hag coven on your bad side, dear heart.
No, of course not.
Yes, I'm surprised they haven't come around and tried to. But then again, we all know hags. They so many intrigues they probably barely even noticed. Or at least some of them probably barely even noticed. But yes, the teacup goblins, they need you.
Yes, they do. I will be out of here by sunset. I must say my goodbyes first. I have so many friends here.
Oh, let us help you with that to speed you on your way, because honestly, they seem so broken. Broken little teacup goblins. They really,
So
I don't know how else I can impress the importance of you leaving as soon as possible to see them. Can I roll a persuasion check?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Can I give a help action?
Yes, you may.
Persuasion check with advantage. We're going to take, so the D20 is a 17, and let's just check and see what I add to that.
Isn't it like 11 or something? Ridiculous.
Persuasion. So, I mean, that's only going to be a 25,
Okay.
because I had 8.
Well, perhaps I can just say my goodbye right now to everyone. End my performance and my concert with a bang. And so he kind of turns and waddles up onto the fountain, and he kind of puffs out his chest, and in a surprisingly loud voice, almost like he's just like projecting his voice. Everybody, village of Briarsburg, with great sadness it seems, I, Chanticleer, has been called elsewhere. There is another realm that needs me, and I must go. I regret to leave you. I loved seeing the sunshine on your smiling faces. And perhaps our paths will cross again one day. But for now, I must leave. Goodbye. And he kind of he spreads his wings and he takes a bow, and he begins to waddle off as people begin to crowd around him. And you can kind of hear him just saying, yes, goodbye. I know it's very unfortunate, as he continues kind of like walking away. It's very clear he is leaving.
I'm going to fly alongside him and just be like, now, Chanticleer, you helped the village, but I must warn you. The Harlequin was sighted around the Teacup Princess's carousel. He very nearly slaughtered a friend of mine who got too close. So a word of caution, I'd avoid it if I were you, and just cheer the people up for a bit and maybe see where your performer's heart takes you next. It'd be such a shame if you wound up with a poisoned dagger in your back.
Yes, that would be most unfortunate. Oh, yes. Oh, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. I have to go. I'm sorry. As he continues kind of, walking along, and he finally does speed up a little bit, kind of trotting away, still kind of shaking his sort of tail feathers as he leaves. And he gets to the edge of the village, turns, takes another sort of bow and waves his wing, and then turns and runs off at like a full pelt back in the direction that I'm sure you've indicated along the way.
So after he's like gone, can I see what the villagers look like? Can I insight check this? Can I vibe check the village real quick?
Yes, you may. Yeah, that'd be an insight check.
Does this mean I can stop juggling these daggers?
Arthur, you can stop. I got a 13 on my vibe check.
You get the sense that, it's kind of like when a concert ends, everyone's happy, but at the same time, there's still that kind of, they were caught up in a moment in the concert, but after, it's over, but, things come to an end. Perhaps they were supposed to.
Percy, would you be a dear and just thaumaturgy to help me get their attention?
Everybody listen to the fairy. Make my voice boom really loud.
Everyone kind of turns a bit surprised.
Now, people of it's Briarsburg, right?
Yes.
People of Briarsburg, I understand that you've all had quite a fun time this last week or so with that Rooster, right?
There's a few nods.
You do know that Night's coming back, correct?
You definitely feel the mood kind of begin to drop as people kind of...
Yes, Night's coming back, and your mistresses won't be probably very pleased with what's happened, so do with that information what you will. I'd recommend you gird your loins.
People kind of just look around. You get the sense that they know what their mistresses can do.
Yes.
And they kind of all begin to shuffle back to their daily lives, giving you quite the hard stare as they all kind of go back to their work.
Not entirely cruel. I would recommend that any of you who are too weak-willed to survive in this place skedaddle while you can. The Chestlands is right next door and they're perfectly neutral, darlings.
There's a sense that they are just, at this point, ignoring you.
And Lark's gonna like float back to Percy and be like, and this is why I don't bother being nice to people half the time. They're too weak-willed to change their lot in life that they wait for some pathetic rooster to come and help them out.
I thought you just found it boring.
I mean, they're boring, but
Well,
realistically, they're probably just a food supply for the hags.
oh,
okay.
Food supply, steady stream of servants, etc. Maybe some of them signed contracts and pacts with them.
Food. Is there food in this village? I must find a chicken.
There's
Don't chuckle.
definitely a tavern.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's right off of the town square, obviously. Nice, big, and obvious, called the Year in a Day Cauldron.
Yummy. Does anybody mind if I stop for a drink? And also maybe like a chicken.
does our money work here, Lark?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, I didn't think about that.
the residents of this place are humanoid, so maybe they'll take something. Maybe they'll want to get a wish from you or something strange. Currencies are bizarre in the Feywild, if I'm perfectly honest. I can't even tell, like, where you need to trade in the wishes of a mortal versus the teeth of a children. Teeth of a child, not teeth of a children, is what he said. Some places you'd need the teeth from children, other places, a wish, the last breath of a dying man. A particularly juicy nightmare in a bottle is very good currency back home, but maybe mortal money will work in Briarsburg, or I don't know, Arthur, can you trade away a few things?
At this point, I would do almost anything. I'm starved. Those cookies didn't really cut it.
Almost anything, you said.
I said almost.
Let's go get you some food. And I suppose I'm probably feeling a little peckish myself.
About time.
Now, Percy, darling, as we walk, I'm just gonna look at him and be like, bravo!
I got caught in the moment, but we were saving his life. I'm happy that we didn't have to hurt him.
Part of me wanted to follow him and just shove the knife in his back myself, but
Right.
why
would I? That's food.
I get no applause for my acrobatics.
Oh, you did perfect.
I applauded several times.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Mark's gonna like fly over to Arthur and give him a little cheek pat and be like, "You were the perfect cover, dear." And notice that we didn't say a single lie. We just never said the full truth. It's perfect.
Also true.
My wicked little heart. So really, Percy.
Well,
I have a few notes here and there if you'd like to hear them, but overall, your performance was...
I've been observing you for a while.
I mean, plus all that practice he had with being not entirely honest, so.
Yes, of course.
But that darling,
You
that was
know,
a faced lie, which
I
would-
was about to try to pull a bit of more wool over your eyes as a bit of a little fun jab and let you spend whatever money you wanted to, but I'm just gonna like turn around and like sit down under a tree or something. I'm gonna cast Create Food and Water.
Oh,
Okay, you're a dick.
that's a new trick, Percy.
You could do that this whole time.
I mean,
The
I
whole
told you
time.
guys like a while ago, but I prepared this for the Shadowfell, but I still held on to it. Dig in.
Now,
Let me
If
look at
I
it
don't
real
have the spell
quick.
up, but I'd love to create like a roast chicken.
do you take orders?
Yeah, you create 45 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water on the ground or in containers within range, enough to sustain up to 15 humanoids or 5 steeds for 24 hours. The food is bland but nourishing and spoils if uneaten after 24 hours.
It's very bland chicken, but it's chicken.
Well, wait, can't I have prestidigitation, right? I
Yeah, it
Yes,
can
you
add
do.
flavors.
Yeah.
Lark's gonna be like, now Arthur, what would you do for that to taste exactly like the perfect roast chicken?
I mean, I still got a few minutes of juggling left in me.
Let's just say that, well, at this point we're practically on the same side as it is, but can I collect a favor or two from you later?
One.
Well, I made the chicken, so if you want it, you have to make it taste good for me.
Okay, yeah. So I'll cast prestidigitation to flavor the food to make it taste like the perfect roast, what the perfect roast chicken would taste like in a mortal's mind. I'm just be
Yep.
like,
Does that mean I can eat it now?
I peel off the skin off of mine and I give it to Lark.
now this would be perfect if it was the skin from the face of a beautiful man, but I can't complain.
I'm sorry, what?
I overspoke. Apologies. I haven't really eaten mortal flesh in a very long time, and it is what it is.
Okay, stop talking. I don't need the details. What I do need is a drumstick.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious that mortals are a food source in the Feywild, right? Or at least a
Yeah.
resource.
We've been over it a few times, yes.
I didn't need to, you know what? I'm not even going to engage. I'm just going to enjoy the delicious chicken. That's what's happening.
It's not just the Unseelie Court. Think about how Gloriana's castle was. Her castle runs on mortal wishes.
And he's still talking.
I'm just pointing it out. You can't lump
But they're like
everything
nice wishes. They're like happy wishes.
as far as you know. Happiness in one mortal's heart could be chaos in another's.
Well, you're just no fun.
I'm just pointing out that things aren't half as black and white as you seem to think they are, darling. So this chicken, if I do must say, Percy, you and I, we could open up a restaurant practically.
We could
a
do that.
perfect little tavern. I'm thinking like the fairies gift. Ooh, and we could trade it in on ubiquitous, strange requests of mortals. Delicious.
Mm-hmm. He's still going.
Mhm.
He's still talking.
Oh, Arthur. You can get a job there too, don't worry. We'll probably need a bouncer.
I do very well with my current employment. Thank you very much.
Ah, yes. I forgot the murdering people for money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that. I just don't eat their faces when I'm done.
If you ever kill a particularly good looker, let me know.
Nope. Mm-mm. No. I'm gonna go ahead and not do that.
All right. Well,
Do we want to call this a short rest?
Yeah, we can call it a
Sure.
short rest.
Oh, if it's going to be a short rest, I literally haven't spent any resources, but I'm going to do my bullshittery and
Yes.
make 2 extra sorcery points.
Your
before my
pseudo
spells
coffee
are done.
locking.
Yeah,
That was kind of why I was.
8 sorcery points instead of 6.
Ooh.
I can make
Hot.
so many puppies.
puppies? Oh, you're.
It
yeah.
takes sorcery points for me to summon my hound.
Yeah.
Right.
So I believe this would be a good time to call the end of the episode. So thank you everybody for joining us for this week's episode of Scion of the Dark House. I will see you all in a week, and I will see you guys in about 5 to 10 minutes.